Hello and welcome to Testify again. I'm your host, Nona Best. Today we are having a story entitled Miracles of the Heart. We are talking to a father and daughter who have been through the unimaginable, and it all pertains to their heart. It is a heartwarming story. It is a miracle story. And I can't wait to talk to them and for you to hear the amazing story of what this father and his daughter have gone through, all pertaining to their hearts. Join us now as we talk to Pastor Nance and his daughter, Alicia, Miracles of the Heart, a father and daughter story. Hello and welcome to Testify. How are you?
Good.
We're
All
good.
right.
Um, Mr. Nance, or Pastor Nance, and Alicia, thank y'all for coming on, sharing your stories. Miracles of the heart is what I call it, a father and daughter story, because I just think it's amazing. And both of you sitting there are miracles, and that's exactly what we
Yes.
want to hear about on Testify. So it's your testimony, Mr. Nance. You had a major heart attack, and Alicia, you had a heart transplant.
Yes, ma'am.
So, does heart disease run in the family, or is this just something that happened?
It ran on my side of the family.
Okay. So
My my
before that, go ahead.
I was just getting ready to say my mother, my father, my oldest brother died of heart attacks. Uh
Oh,
yeah, so
But not my type of heart disease.
right.
My type of heart disease is basically the damaging of the heart, not an actual artery.
okay. Okay. So, Mr. Ness, you have it run in your family, and the type of heart attack that you had was called a widowmaker heart attack. First time I had
Yes.
ever heard of it. So, you want to kind of tell us what a widowmaker heart attack is?
Yes, Sister Nona, the way that heart attack got its name is because when a man would have the type of heart attack I had, his wife would go home a widow. Uh,
Oh,
I had a 2% chance of survival.
wow. So, take us back to 2004. Where were you when, did you have any signs that it was coming on, or was it a sudden? Was it a surprise?
Well, let me ask you this. Were you still with the SBI in 2004?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, we had a meeting. I had a meeting that Friday, and all during the meeting, my left arm really hurt. Didn't think too much of it. Just a pain going up and down my left arm right here. Um, Saturday morning, I pastored out of town, so Saturday morning I got up and cleaned my car. I wasn't feeling real good, just feeling slow, and I drove uh, to Maysville, North Carolina. I had a little tightness in my chest. And I got to tell you that I thank God because I was probably in the midst of the heart attack then. I had a tightness in my chest, and I drove to Maysville, and we had a meeting. And after the meeting, the tightening got tighter. It felt like Shaquille O'Neal had his hand in my chest, just
That's where
squeezing.
the point where it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest
Yes,
comes
ma'am.
from.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, and I tell you, Sister Nona, when I got scared was when one of the members said, "Preacher, you don't look like you feel good." I said, "I don't." They said, "Do you think you need to go somewhere?" And I said, "I do." And that scared me because, ordinarily, men will try, hey,
Yeah.
we'll walk it off,
Mm-hmm. I'll be
but
okay and everything. No, you're
mhm,
hurting.
I knew I was hurting. And so they we went outside, and they were going to put me in a van, but I couldn't. I couldn't. It was too painful, and so they took me to a house next door, waiting on the uh, rescue squad. And it was at that point, Sister Nona, that I was getting ready to go to sleep because as I dozed off, the pain lessened. It didn't hurt as bad.
Oh.
And one of my members kept yelling at me, Reb, you can't go to sleep. You can't go to sleep. And I was telling people that he worried me to death, and then somebody said, no, Reb, he worried you to life.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And so I felt like at that point, Sister Nona, that I was dying. I told my deacon, who was right beside me, that listen, I need you to do me a favor. He said, what you need, preacher? I said, listen, tell my wife that I love her, and tell her to tell my children that I love them. Sister Nona, can I tell you something else? You know what I thought
Sure
about?
can. You sure can.
I had been wanting to get my driveway fixed because I had grass growing up in some of the cracks. and I remember thinking that night, I could care less about my driveway. I just thought that I might not see my family again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, all kinds of things run through your mind. And if you get the chance to look back on it, some of it you can laugh about. Some of it you can laugh about.
Some of it you can. Some of it you can.
Yeah. So you drove down there that day by yourself?
Yes.
And that's about what, an hour and a half?
No, 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know it was a long ways. So
yes.
2 hours and 15 minutes you drove down there by yourself. Thank God you didn't try to get in the car and drive back. So you made it to the hospital?
The rescue squad came to the house next door to the church, and they took me to the hospital. But listen to this, Sister Nona. My church was in Jones County, probably the smallest county in the state. They had to take me to the line of Craven County and switch me over to another emergency rescue squad.
Mm.
And they took me to New Bern.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, when I made it to the inside the rescue squad, the guy told me right then, hey, buddy, you done had a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just like telling me that he was telling me something I already knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You had a heart attack, but you're still here. You're still talking, you're still listening. So I guess after you got to the hospital is when you really found out how serious it was.
I think at that point I was in and out. Mm-hmm. So when I realized the magnitude of it was Sunday morning, because the meeting was Saturday night, was Sunday mm-hmm. morning. And when the nurse came in and she was checking the my vitals and all of that, and I heard her tell another nurse that he's still in the midst of his heart attack. Mm-hmm.
So during this period of time, did it cross your mind, my mother had a heart attack, my brother had a heart attack, it's my turn? Did the past come to meet you?
Honestly, no.
No.
I was more. I guess I was thinking more about my family that I was going to leave here, and I didn't think about mom and dad and my brother at that time. I'm just being honest.
Yes.
And I just thought that I might not get to see them again. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So how long did you stay in the hospital? I'm sure you had to have surgery.
I had a stent put in. Mm-hmm. I went in the hospital Saturday night, and I got out Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday. Okay. And Sister Nona, on the way home, I'm a quartet man, so I love my quartet music. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Lee Williams. Had heard this album thousands of times. And that guy started singing the song, Jesus is all over me and he's keeping me alive. Mm-hmm. And on the way home, girl, I cried like a baby.
Yes, yes. Gave you a moment of reflection that
yes.
that you couldn't do nothing but say, that's true, that's true, that's me right now. No, that's true, that's me right now.
And can I share something else? The next time I went to the hospital to visit one of my members, I went to the floor where the nurses had helped me, and I saw the nurse who was one of my caregivers. And as soon as I saw her, she turned blood red. And I said, it was bad, wasn't it? And she just nodded her head and she said, that next week, it was 3 or 4 guys who came in with the same thing that I had, and all of them died. The youngest one was 27, I think.
Oh, wow. So now, the Widowmaker heart attack, it's more than just one valve that's I don't say clogged up or impacted. It's 2 valves or 4 valves. It's more than one, right? So you just got
I
one.
think it's the largest valve.
It was the largest one,
Largest.
the only thing that I can tell you is that my sister-in-law worked for, she still works for Rex.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, brother-in-law, what did you have? I said, well, about the only thing I remember is, I remember them saying a lower arterial descendant. And she said, brother-in-law, people don't live through that. Hey, Sister Nona, 17 years later, 17 years later, I'm still here.
So what is your ultimate testimony? You know, it's you just look at it as, I know you look at it as God's work, but what does it mean to you that he spared you at that time?
You know, my grandbaby was 3. And we were on the way to church one Sunday. And I gotta add this. Listen, I had that Widowmaker on the 4th. On the 11th, I spoke at a banquet. And the week after that, I preached again. And so the ultimate thing is that I knew that I could have been gone. When you hear the song, I could have been dead, resting in my grave, but Jesus stopped by and made old death behave. That was a reality for me.
It has a totally different meaning now.
Totally different meaning. Totally different meaning. One of Alicia's friends came over, and she said that Thursday she stopped by the house after I got out of the hospital, and she said, Mr. Nance, she said, can you talk about it? I said, sure, ask me anything. She said, how do you feel today? I said, I feel okay. But if I hadn't have made it, I said, probably would have been having my funeral right about now. Mm-hmm. And that hit me hard. No,
that hit hard.
That hit really hard. That hit really hard. Afterwards, every time I felt a twinge, I thought, is this the one that's gonna take me out? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And but one day I was getting ready to go walking, and I had forgotten my nitroglycerin, and I had forgotten my cell phone. And I got scared, Nona. I got scared. Yeah, and then it hit me right then that, hey, where's your trust, man? If you're gonna tell people to trust me, what about you? Mm-hmm. Nona, I never took another nitroglycerin pill, not another one. I'm not saying that to tell anybody else not to take their nitros. I'm not. Right. I'm just talking about me. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about me. Yeah.
Yeah. And all the years that have passed now, what is the major changes that it created in your life? How did it change? Did it change did your prayer life go to a higher level? Did your preaching go to a higher level?
Oh my God.
I think I did the prayer life thing.
You did.
that thing was horrible. She made me pray. Lord Jesus. Yeah. I think it was at that point, that Sunday, the first Sunday I preached after my heart attack, Nona, my pastor's wife came up and she said, Harold, you can't preach that hard. Your heart can't stand it. Your heart can't stand it. And I told her, my heart belongs to God.
Yeah.
And I realized that you say, how has it made you change? I'm not saving anything.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if I preach in the morning, a lot of preachers will save some, and they have to preach in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
They'll save some for the afternoon. Nona, I don't save anything. I preach as hard as I can every time I get the opportunity, because I can truly say I don't know when my last time will be.
Yeah. So now, does it increase your chances for another heart attack, or your chances for a heart attack are same now as they were before you had it? It just might, or
Well, I had someone to tell me, in the medical profession, Harold, people who have the heart attack that you had, their life expectancy, if they make it, is about 5 years. So we're talking about 17 years.
mm-hmm.
And so to answer your question is, I don't live my life thinking about another heart attack.
You can't.
My brother-in-law had stage 4 cancer for 16 years.
Stage 4 for 16 years?
16 years.
Oh, wow.
16 years. And how about this? Can you imagine all the people that had put him in the ground
Buried
and the
him.
funerals that he went to?
Buried him.
Yes. And so what I'm saying is, it's not always the leaning tree that falls first.
Amen.
I knew that I had a heart condition. I know that my mom died in the kitchen. My dad died in the kitchen. My brother died right after getting out of the shower. But on the lighter side, Nona, I stopped going to the kitchen.
Oh yeah, I'm not going in there. That was a good plan. Not going in the kitchen.
No, yeah, but no. To sincerely answer your question, I don't. I know that I didn't come here to stay. I'm not sitting here waiting on the next heart attack. I'm not.
Yeah.
Statistics say, because of my family history, that'll probably be how I go. Yeah. But I'm not. I don't dwell on that.
Yeah.
Because all I got, Nona, I learned that heart attack taught me, all I got is right now.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. All you got is today.
Right now.
And what you do with the clock is ticking.
Nona, the people who are in hospice, they have the same thing that we have right now. Mm-hmm. Now, their right now might not have the quality of our right now, but it's still the same right now. And right that's now. All we got.
Right. And we know that the God we serve can turn it around at any time. If
at any time.
And so it's at never in our control, no matter Absolutely. What they say, whether they say, he got about 2 weeks, 1 week, 72 hours, it's never totally in our control. It's,
and you're absolutely right.
Because anytime somebody says stage 4 to you, you start getting your house in order. And I mean, I've never heard of nobody with stage 4 for 16 years. That's just miraculous.
My pastor had pancreatic cancer for over 5 years. And pancreatic cancer, I've known people who get the diagnosis and are dead within a week, couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, or a month.
I think the longest is about a year, right?
A year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you after something like that happens, you can't live in fear, because then you won't live the rest of the life. And evidently he gave you life because he wanted you to live it, because you were not finished doing what he wanted you to do.
That's right.
But people have concern for you. They love you, they care for you, and you're up there preaching your heart out, and they like this, oh, slow down, stop.
True. I have to be honest.
I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to be honest. I have to Miss Nona, I was scared at first.
I
I'm
know
not,
you were.
when he would get ready to preach, I'd be like, my heart would be pounding. I'd be,
Yeah. But preaching is his thing, and he's not gonna stop. He's gonna do it till the
"What's
day
that?"
he die. And if it ain't the kitchen, maybe it'll be the pulpit. Something he loves. But
Now
don't
you
go in the
scared me,
kitchen no
Nona.
more. Well, what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go to a commercial break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna hear Alicia's wonderful story. And welcome back. We're here now to hear Alicia's miraculous story. How her um I at first I want to say, Mr. Nance, when it first started and you heard the word heart, your heart dropped. So Alicia, tell us how it all started.
Um, well, I'll say it was going on long before I knew it was
Okay.
going on. I was diagnosed at 37, and I had gotten to a point where I couldn't go down simple steps
Hmm.
without being completely out of breath, or like my heart would feel like it's racing out of my chest. And so around 37 is
So what were
when
you diagnosed with?
non-ischemic idiopathic cardiomyopathy, which
Okay, what
means
is that in English?
which
Well, in the
it means they don't
layperson's word.
it means it means that they didn't know why my heart was failing. It
Mhm.
just was.
Okay.
And also too, with that, my ejection fraction, which is the amount, 55% of your nourishment from your heart goes out to your organs, and that's called your ejection fraction. My
Hmm.
ejection fraction was 15, and then it went down to 14
Mm.
when
And
it
so
should be 55.
55. Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened after your first diagnosis?
Um, my first diagnosis, I had a doctor, Dr. Stephen Mills, and he expressed to me, because of course at 37 you hear congestive heart failure and your line of thinking is, I'm gonna die. And so when my doctor came in and he spoke to me, I said, I've researched this. This is not good. And I said, I don't want to die. And he said, well, if you think you're going to die, you're going to die, but you
Yeah,
have to choose to live.
right. And look at your dad. Let him be your star shining. So that went on for a while, but eventually, you had to have a transplant.
Yes, ma'am. And prior to that, though, I was a year after being diagnosed, I had a ICD, which is a defibrillator that also had pacemaker capability. I had that implanted just so that any event I did go into cardiac arrest, it could shock me. And shortly, I guess, no, it was 4 years after that, I went into my advanced heart treatment doctor. And this is the one time where my mom wasn't with me. Her and my dad had a funeral out of town. And the doctor says to me, it's time. He said, it's time for transplant. And that was in January of 2020.
So when you got diagnosed, did you know that eventually that was the only answer? That was the final decision that would be made?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of people on the waiting list. Was that one of your worries?
Yes, ma'am.
So he told you it's time. So from the time that he told you it was time to the time that you actually were served, or you actually found your heart and went in the hospital? How long was that?
So of course we're speaking 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in January. I
Oh, it was January of 2020 when you found out?
Yes, ma'am. That no,
Okay.
well, January 2020 that I found out that he said it's time to go ahead and have the heart transplant.
Oh, okay. Now, were you
And
feeling worse? Did you know that it was getting close before he told you?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was so
What was your
exhausted.
day-to-day life like?
It not good. I laid in the bed most times. I love to cook, so I would cook, and I would keep it as clean as I possibly could, but for the most part, just laid in the bed.
And so, because you have a daughter, right?
Yes, ma'am. She's 20.
Oh, what? Oh my God, I did not think that at all. So
Well,
she,
did you not think that because I don't look?
yeah, no, no, no. So she helped out a lot. How did she take it? How did she take it? How was she dealing with it?
She's under expressive when it comes to talking about my situation, because I think as tough as she tries to be, it scares her. It still scares her.
Yeah, I imagine it does. I imagine it scares the whole family. I mean, you
Yes,
look at
ma'am.
you, you're beautiful, you look young, you look in your 20s, and you sitting here saying, I got heart failure and I need a transplant, and you're like, why? So, but yeah, so 2020 was a terrible time to get that kind of news.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened after that?
Well, I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I said, Daddy, there's no way I can get a heart transplant in 2020. I said, because I would be by myself. I said, there's so many stipulations with COVID.
Yeah,
And like, I feed off of the energy of my family.
yeah.
And my daddy said, Alicia, we're going to do what has to be done if it has to be done. And
Mhm.
that's what happened.
Yeah, because when you come through this, we'll be right there. And I can't imagine you just saying that, going in the hospital and nobody to be there to hold your hand and stand over you. How hard was that, Mr. Nance?
It was extremely hard, Nona, but I thank God for technology because we did a lot of
FaceTime.
FaceTime.
Okay.
Yeah, it was extremely hard. I think the absolute hardest part for me, Nona, was knowing that my baby was dealing with something and I couldn't do nothing.
And you couldn't do nothing. I think I would have cried for 2 days straight if my child would have went in the hospital and I couldn't go with her. I mean, I just cannot imagine how hard that was. So, the day of the operation, when was that?
Can she tell you about the week before?
Oh, sure, sure.
Okay, so the week before would be Father's Day.
Mm,
It was the week before,
Mhm.
right? Would be Father's Day, and I had just had a conversation with my daughter, and of course, children can make your dander rise, and they did. And so I started feeling extremely hot, and I told my nurse I was hot, and so she basically kind of laughed and was like talking about the conversation. But then I realized that she was doing something. And then my nurse realized that I was bending down, taking off the compression sleeves on my legs, which of course was not something I was supposed to be doing.
hmm
But in the midst of that, she looks at me. I'm no longer like present for a second. And they called, I hear the word strike code, strike code. And it stroke code. I'm sorry, stroke code, stroke code. I hear it, but I didn't realize who they were referring to, and it ended up being me. And I had a stroke, and I had a stroke on Father's Day.
mm.
Yeah.
And you couldn't be there, Mr. Nance. Oh my.
I couldn't. She called us late Sunday night and she said, Daddy, I don't feel right. And she took a picture and she sent it to us. And Nona, when I saw that picture, one eye was looking straight ahead, the other eye was real big, looking that way. And I told Lois, I said, Lois, it appears as though Alicia has had a stroke.
Yeah. So, you recovered from that stroke because
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
see a stroke anywhere.
It's nothing but God, because by Wednesday I saw a neurologist every day, but by Wednesday they had my CT scan showed there was no record of ever having had the stroke.
Oh my gosh. Woo. See, a praying family.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Nance had supernatural powers anyway. He done survived a Widowmaker, so he got supernatural powers. He just threw it up there and said, "No more. This shall not be."
No, they were supposed to take her off of the heart transplant list. Once you have a stroke, your name goes off the list. Is that
Yes,
right,
sir.
baby? Yeah.
And Miss Nona, the part that I'm leaving out, because it just occurred to me that I didn't mention that. The reason why I had the stroke was because they had inserted a balloon pump in my axillary, on my left shoulder, in my axillary. And what happened is they bust the balloon pump because it wasn't flushing clearly. And they thought they had gotten all of the balloon out, and it attached to my brainstem, and I had a stroke. So that's what caused the stroke. But the doctor, and I have to mention this because it's important to me, to my testimony,
Yes.
is that the doctor who flushed the balloon and accidentally did that is the doctor who actually performed my heart transplant. And he actually found my heart, and he flew to Hawaii the Friday night prior to my transplant. My family and I, we knew nothing about me having a transplant until 11 o'clock on Saturday. And I was going
Wow.
into surgery at 4.
Wow. So do you know anything about your transplant person, the person that you got your heart from?
So I do know that he was 20 years old, and he was a male, and he was 20 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the doctor comes back from Hawaii with your new heart. That's just amazing. It's blind blowing. And he comes in the room and he says, "Alicia, I have a heart."
That's kind of not how it went, Miss Nona.
How'd it
So,
go?
okay, it went like this. So a lot of the time I was there, I would just like to say in my defense, I like to eat. So I think that we should preface this conversation with that.
With that,
And
okay. Anything to make you comfortable while you laying in the hospital waiting for a heart. Eat all you want.
Listen, so but a guy comes in and he said, you're I just lost my train of thought. You're not eating, essentially. And so he comes in and I was like, oh, yes, I am. My food is going to be here in like 10 to 15 minutes. And like, I could do whatever you need me to do after that, but my food has to be here. It's going to be here in 10 to 15 minutes. And so he says, nobody's talked to you. And so I was like, talk to me about what? And so I'm on the phone with my god sister, and my god sister, she's like, okay, that was weird. I was like, yeah, right. So he backs up.
I done ordered it, picked it out and everything. I want my food.
It's on the way. It's on the way. And then Miss Nona, these four to five of the doctors, they come in and they're like, congratulations, Miss Nance. And I'm looking at them like, but not eating?
I'm not happy about that.
Right. And so then they said, nobody talked to you? And so,
well, who was supposed to talk to you? Everybody keeps saying nobody talked to you.
The coordinator, she just hadn't gotten to me. They got the news because they needed to put me on restriction from eating. And so when they came in and they did the congratulations, I'm thinking, I'm not pregnant. I've been divorced for a while. There's no way. So all I could think of was, I'm not eating. And then my sister, she's like, okay, I don't know what they got going on at Duke today, but they need to relax. And so after that, they kind of backed out slowly. And then shortly after that, the coordinator came in and she's like, we found your heart. And I was looking, and it was, I wasn't processing it. I was like, this is happening?
Yeah, because it's so unexpected. You just was thinking about food and people coming in your room talking crazy, and now here comes the coordinator, and
This is
boom,
happening.
this is happening.
Yep.
So what went through your mind then when she said we found it?
Um, the most important thing I thought about, and I think this is what I thought when I was on my way down to the transplant, the actual operating room. I thought to myself, it wasn't about feeling sorry for myself. I knew that I needed God to be there for my family if I didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to understand and know that like how much I genuinely loved and adore them.
Mm-hmm. That was the same thing for both of you. No selfish thoughts, no woe is me, why me. It's, accepting what God would do in your life, but just take care of my loved ones that I'm leaving behind. And so when you found the news, between her telling you and you actually going down, I'm sure that was just a couple of hours.
It was about 4 hours.
Mhm.
About 4 hours.
Okay, about 4 hours. And Mr. Nance, what happened when you got the news?
Okay, well, they told us that Lois could come and see Alicia. I think around about 1 for a little bit, and then they were able to allow her daughter to go see her for a little bit, and then we had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked us, "How do you want to be informed of what's going on, via text or phone call?" And I said, "I would like a phone call."
Yeah.
And so they said, "We'll call you every 2 hours with an update." Nona, not one time did that phone ring twice. I was right by that phone. Every time it rang, I would pick it right up. Now, here's the part about that night. I had to, I had to realize that there is a remote possibility she might not make it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's hard for me.
Yeah.
So, but then I kept going back to Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans that I have for you. And I knew God had plans for this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, I can't, if she doesn't make it, I gotta save some so I can help my family.
Mm-hmm.
But God never allowed that to linger with me long
Yeah.
because I knew that she was gonna come through it, Nona. I knew she was gonna come through it. And my pastor sent me a text about 11:30, 12. He said, "Look, I know you're gonna have a long night. You don't have to worry about coming to church tomorrow." And I got there before pretty much half the church.
So how long
Uh,
was the surgery?
Well, the first part that I was aware of was about 8 to 10 hours, but they closed me back up and they had to reopen me. They had to call my parents to get permission to reopen me because I had a blood clot. So a total of about 14 hours.
Oh wow. Mm. That is, I'm just sitting here and just trying to imagine the family at the house waiting for the phone to ring, checking it, make sure the volume's on, checking
yeah.
to make sure the ringer's on,
Yeah.
and not being there to kiss her when she comes out, but then being satisfied with it. If she just comes out alive, it's good enough for me.
Hmm.
So that last phone call that says she's out, she's okay. About what time was that?
Everything we're done. Everything went well, and I think that was about maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everything went well, and so
Okay.
I was excited about that.
Yeah.
Of course, that we were real excited about that.
How was your recovery from the surgery, Alicia?
And listen, I'll tell anybody, like the recovery in itself, like the heart transplant was the easy part. The
Oh.
recovery and the medication, the immunosuppressant drugs that you have to take to make sure that your organs don't reject your heart,
Mm-hmm.
those, they've caused hair loss. There are times where not been able to eat for weeks at a time. It mimics chemo. So it's not been the easiest at different moments. And so again, those moments are like when I'm especially thankful about being able to have a dad, because I'm a certified daddy's girl, that
No.
one knows God and is able to just be daddy, but also be a spiritual influence as well.
Yeah, okay. So so the surgery was in June. So it's been a year.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
did you do on your year anniversary?
What did I do on my year anniversary?
What did we
Mr.
do?
Nance, you didn't celebrate her.
Yeah, we
There should have
did.
been a parade.
Yeah.
Was it Outback?
I think we ordered out back.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because
Right.
Nona, for a whole year, we had to be very selective who we were around.
Yes.
Because the first thing the doctor said is that we can't take COVID back to her because she wouldn't survive that. So we were, for a whole year, we were basically isolated too.
Yeah. So y'all stayed in the same household?
No, she stayed with my son and we were over here. But she's with us now. So if you want her,
I'm not gonna have you knocking on my door every day, Mr. Nance. No way. Look, or her sneaking out the side door talking about something, I'll be right back. I gotta go see my daddy. Well, I just think that it's such a wonderful, wonderful testimony for both of you. And it's such a situation where you can draw so much strength and spiritual strength from each other, and just love on each other and look at each other and say, you're a miracle and you're a miracle too. And just, celebrate being here, and celebrate every single day of what you've been through. And like I said, Alicia, you don't look like what you've been through. Thank God. Thank God you're beautiful. You look healthy, and I hope you feel healthy. And
I'm feeling better than I have in a really long time.
yeah, because I know we had to reschedule 1 and 2 times because you wasn't feeling well, but I would check in with your dad and see how you were. And he kept saying, we're going to do it, Nona. We're going to do it. Don't you worry.
I promise you. Matter of fact, he got me about maybe a week or two ago. And like I was in one of my stints where I wasn't eating, and it just really makes me unhappy. Not eating.
Because you love to eat.
And I can't even eat a lot, but yeah, I love cooking and I love eating. But I wanted to say this too, Miss Nona, while I'm thinking about it. One of the things that I did think about or that resonates for me in reference to trusting God is that if you say that you trust God, sooner or later, you're gonna have to prove it.
Yes, you're gonna have to prove it. And that's and the biggest part for both of y'all was just letting go of the fear and say, I must live my life. And when this heart stops, then it stops. But from here on out, I just must live my life. So I thank both of y'all for coming on.
Bless you, baby. Thank you for asking us.
Thank you so much. Y'all stay healthy, stay loving, stay close. Mr. Nance just keeps spoiling that beautiful lady, and everything's gonna be all right. I wish y'all love, peace, and joy. Thank you so much for coming on Testify. And
thank you for having us.
Oh, it was an honor. It was an honor. Y'all keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
All right. Thank you, Nona.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.